Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Snehil, and I'll be going through the demo of Prism software for you this afternoon. I have read through all of your questions in the questions tab, and thank you so much for all of that. I'll go through them one by one, but before that, I want to just take you through the workflow, the flow of the demo that I'm going to present today. So for this, I'll first explain the basics of what the software does, and I'll then explain what are the various terms and the various concepts that are used inside the software. And we'll be referring those terms, we'll be referring back to them again and again, and which is why I'm going to explain them beforehand. After that, I'll explain the case that we're going to analyze here live in front of you today. After I've explained what the case is, we'll then drill down into the analysis of that particular case. So I hope that the workflow for this demo is suitable to every one of you. So I'll start by explaining what the various terms in the software are. The first term is a project point. Now, a project point is a particular sensor or a particular variable whose data we want to collect and analyze. Now, any given project can have multiple project points. And each of those points can either be a combination of multiple types of sensors or multiple sensors in and of itself. Now, here we define project as an asset that we want to analyze. So for example, if I want to conduct or if I want to monitor a turbine, for me that turbine will be an asset that I want to analyze, and I can then create a project out of that. The next term is an operational profile. An operational profile is basically a logical grouping of all the project points together, which indicates the health of my equipment. Now, I'll explain that again. What we want to do here is we want to analyze the current health of an equipment. Now, the health of an equipment is a very broad term, and what we want to do is include as many sensors or as many variables of the equipment together so that all of them together give an indication of what the health of my equipment is. Now, all of these sensors put together is known as an operational profile. So we take historical data from for the equipment, and then we train the operational profile to study from that data using advanced pattern recognition algorithms inside the software itself. So an operational profile is then kept on being checked, and then that becomes a baseline against which the current state of the machine is evaluated. So I'll just recap what I have explained till now. In this, we have a project in which basically represents the asset, the particular equipment that we want to monitor. An operational profile then represents an aspect of that equipment that we want to monitor. It's basically a logical grouping of all the sensors together, which give a good enough indicator of the health of that particular aspect of the equipment. And all the points that I've included in the profile are my project points. Now, once my operational profile is created, what we then do is we'll keep on checking the real-time values from all the sensors. We'll combine them using algorithms into a single variable and then check the current health of the equipment with the baseline that we created just now. I'll repeat that again. What we want to do is we'll collect data from all the sensors. We'll combine them into a single variable, and then we'll keep on checking that variable against the baseline that we have created. And again, just to give the answers for all the questions, I'll cover all of them as I go through my demo. As of right now, all I'm trying to do is explain all the terms that I'm going to, I'll keep on referring to. Once we have the profile created, the next thing we want to do is we want to define the various faults that the software can predict. Now, that we here call as a fault diagnostic. Let me just give you an example of what a fault diagnostics looks like. I hope this is clearly visible to everyone. So the table that you're seeing right now is basically how various variables inside a project are coded together into a relationship, so that relationship then defines what a particular fault is. Let me just repeat that. If I want to code a fault known as a bearing temperature problem. There are multiple variables whose values and trends will change over the period of time, and then all of them put together will tell me that that relationship means that a fault is going to happen, or that it means that this is a fault. This is the name of the disease, and all of these are the various symptoms that are being exhibited. So the combination of various symptoms together become a disease, and that's what we are coding over here. I'll come back to this later once I've explained what the case we are and during the analysis period of time. So I'll keep on referring to this fault diagnostics as we go on through the demo. So once we have the fault diagnostics ready, now all that's left for us to do is then analyze some data. Now I'll go ahead and explain what the case we have right now in front of us. The case here we have is that of an air compressor. And specifically, I want to analyze the mechanical aspect of an air compressor. By that, what I mean is I'll take all the variables of a compressor which indicate the mechanical health of a compressor. So for example, a generator could have an electrical aspect to it. It can also have a mechanical aspect to it. And then it can have a process aspect to it. So that way here, for this air compressor, for this demonstration, I'll be taking into consideration the mechanical health and the mechanical aspect of this air compressor. As you can see right here on the left-hand side where my mouse cursor is, these represent the various project points or the various variables that I've included in my analysis. A summary of all of these points is that I have taken vibrations for all the bearings. I have taken temperature of those bearings. I have taken variables with respect to the lube oil supplied to the compressor. And I have taken some process variables to indicate what the current running state of the compressor is. So like I alluded to when I was explaining what an operational profile is, all of these project points taken together, then it are able to indicate what the mechanical health of my air compressor is. Next, I'll go to the definitions of fault diagnostic for this particular compressor. So I'll go through some of them. So for example, like I said, I have defined bearing temperature problem as a relationship in which the lube oil supply to the bearings, the temperature of the lube oil supply to the bearing is constant. But at the same time, the temperature for my bearings is increasing. So when both the bearing temperature increases and at the same time when I see that the lube oil supply temperature is constant, this relationship here is then coded as a bearing temperature problem for the first and second stage. And the same kind of relationship for different bearing temperature sensors is then coded as bearing temperature problem for the third and fourth stage. The third and fourth issues are with respect to vibration. And here the relationship that we have coded over here is that if my bearing vibrations are increasing, but my temperature are remaining constant, this relationship I have coded it as bearing vibration issue 1 and 2 in the first and second stage, and similarly in the third and fourth stage. And in the same pattern, I have then defined issues with motor bearing temperature and the thrust bearing vibration issues. Now, as to the question of how do we then define these relationships? How do we come to the conclusion as to what this actual relationship is? So for that, we then derive from the templates that are already available with us from the help of Aviva's vast experience. So in those templates, the various kinds of fault diagnostics relationships are already defined. And the particular fault diagnostic signatures that can be applied to a particular project then depends on what kind of data is available for that particular equipment. So once I have defined the various fault diagnostics, the next thing left for me to do is then analyze some data. Here, I want to explain what I mean by a deviation. Now, like I said earlier, we first teach the software what the normal condition or what the ideal condition of the equipment is. Now, once the software knows what the ideal condition of the equipment is. Whenever a particular variable changes its value significantly from that ideal condition, that change here we call it as a deviation, as in the current value of that variable has deviated from the normal or deviated from the ideal state that we taught the software. The deviation can then mathematically be calculated either in percentages form or in absolute form. So for example, an absolute deviation of -4 will tell me that for that particular variable, the current value is 4 less than what it should have been. Again, a deviation is how much is the current value different from the ideal value that we taught the software. And the values of the deviations that you're seeing right now in the lower part of the graph is telling me how much the value of that particular variable is deviating from the normal. So this is what is absolute deviation. And when we calculate the same thing using percentages, we call that as a relative deviation. So the entire concept of the analysis over here is that the graph that you're seeing right now in this, the green line indicates what the software predicted the value of the sensor to be. And the black line indicates what the actual value coming from the sensor was. So whenever there is a significant deviation from what the software was expecting and what the actual value stream was, the software then tries to calculate how much is it deviating. And then that deviation is then shown over here. So if I zoom in this area, we will see these red bands. These red bands indicate the alarms for the deviation for this particular sensor, which in this case is the 4th stage bearing vibration. Now I'll just explain the timeline of the graph. In this, we have data worth approximately 2 years over here. And what we want to do here is the objective is to then find out what was happening to the equipment in this time period as compared to what the ideal condition of the equipment was supposed to be. So for that, what we'll do is we'll first go to OMR. Now to explain what OMR is, like I explained earlier, every single variable in real time will deviate somewhat from its ideal situation. Now, if I combine all those deviations together, I can combine them into a single variable, and then that single variable is here OMR. It stands for overall model residual. An overall model residual is an indication of what the health of my equipment is. So just by looking at this one single variable, I'll be able to know whether my equipment is currently deviating from the normal or not. An ideal OMR value is 0. An OMR value of 0 means that the current state of the equipment is exactly equal to the ideal state of the equipment. And any deviation away from the 0 tells me that there are some variables which are deviating from their normal, which is why it is being shown over here. What we do here in essence is we reduce the number of variables that we have to analyze into this one single number. So like we were trying to analyze one particular time period, we will do this again over here. The various red and orange bands that you see in front of us are the levels of alarms that we set. Based on how much OMR deviations is allowed, we can set multiple alarm values. The alarm can be for warnings, for alerts, as well as for high alerts, both in positive as well as negative direction. So a red over here indicates a high alarm, and an orange indicates a warning. So let's say that we want to analyze what's happening just before the month of July, just before the starting of month of July, this big spike that we see over here. So if I just zoom into this, I'll see that during this time period, the OMR jumped significantly. What this tells me is that something in the equipment has happened. Some values of some variables have changed significantly so as to cause the entire state of my equipment to deviate from its normal value. That's what this is indicating to me. Now I want to find out what are the various variables that are responsible for this. So what I'll then do is I'll try to find out what are the various variables that are contributing to this. And the graph that you're seeing on the top hand side, the bar graph, gives me how much is each of these variables contributing to my Overmeyer deviation for this time period. So if I zoom in further, if I want to analyze what's happening during this time period of approximately 2 days, the software tells me that it is these variables who are predominantly causing this deviation. Now, alone from this information, the only thing that I'm able to gather is that these particular variables, their values are changing significantly. That's all that I can gather from this. What I need to then find out is how much is each of them deviating from their ideal value? How much is the deviation? So for that, what we'll then do is we'll then analyze each one of them individually. So the topmost contributor to my OMR deviation was the first stage bearing temperature. So I'll select that. I'll remove the graphs for signal contribution. And what we can see is that the value dropped significantly. I'll then try to mark what the predicted value was. And according to the software, it should have run constantly around the same value. And this sudden drop was not predicted by the software. So this sudden drop caused a deviation from the ideal state that the software was expecting. And then that is indicated in the third graph over here. The yellow color over here tells me that the warning that I set for this particular variable's absolute deviation is giving me a warning sign. In that, if I take this particular time period of 8th Saturday, I see this around minus 65. So I've already configured it to show that this much range is in my warning area. So this is what I find out by analyzing each of those variables one by one. The next thing that I want to do is find out, is this indicating a fault? And for that, I'll highlight this. Now, what you're seeing over here is the software is trying to predict as to, is this OMR deviation able to predict a fault in the coming future? And the software is telling me that these three faults, the probability of these three faults occurring due to this deviation is around 80%. And going back to how we defined these fault diagnostics as, we defined it through this relationship. If I explain the bearing temperature problem fault signature again, we defined it as that the lube oil supply temperature was constant, but at the same time the bearing temperature was increasing. And this, sorry for that. And this is what the software is predicting, that this is the most probable fault that's going to happen. I'll take a pause and I'll read through all the questions that you have posed, and I'll be answering them one by one. Just give me a second. I'll be reading through all the questions. Okay, one of the question is, do we filter the shutdown and normal condition data before creating operational profile? Yes, sir, we do. So we can create filters. So for example, here we have already created a filter in which what I've told is that if the inlet to the compressor itself is less than 50, the analysis will stop happening. And this is just one example of one of the filters, but the filters can be applied either directly to the training data set itself or to the running state of the equipment, or both of them. So in that way, we can easily filter out the starting condition or the various states that we want to filter out, as in we don't want the analysis to happen during those conditions. So we can easily create filters for that. There's a question regarding the coded relations. Yes, sir. So in creating the fault diagnostic, that is one of the most important thing that happens in the software. And so for that, Aviva has a large amount of library for various templates for various aspects of a lot of equipments. And for all of them, a lot of fault diagnostic relationships are already predefined. So once we have a big list of all the fault diagnostic signatures available with us, the only thing that then changes is how much data or what are the various variables that are available for the equipment with the client side at that particular point in time. And yes, so fault diagnostic definition becomes a very critical part of it. Okay, I see another question regarding how are the values from all the sensors combined into a single variable. And like the SSM team answered, we have multiple algorithms to do that. Because one of the things that we want to highlight, and what Mitesh already highlighted during his presentation, is that this differs significantly from a condition monitoring software, an alarm-based or condition-based monitoring software, in which we don't want to look at individual values for all the sensors together. What we want to do is we want to combine them into a single indicator of the health of the equipment, and that is what we want to analyze. And this analysis is done through the algorithms that are already inbuilt into the software, and the names of which are already answered by the SSM team. So some of them are independent component analysis, ICA, LHS, and KANN algorithms. And I'm not able to completely understand the meaning of the question with respect to deviation and plus and minus percentage point. So what I'll do is I'll explain deviation concept again. A deviation, let me just show you a deviation for one single variable, and I'll remove all the other graphs here. Okay. I'll plot the actual value and the predicted value. Okay. So an absolute deviation in the negative side indicates that the current value of the sensor is lesser than what is expected it to be. If I'm expecting it to be 100, or rather in this case, if you could direct your attention to my mouse cursor, let's say that the software was expecting the value for this sensor to be 60. And at this particular stage, it's showing me that the absolute deviation is minus 60. So what's happening here is that with respect to this ideal condition, the current value is 60 less than it. That's what absolute deviation here means. And an absolute deviation of plus 60 would mean that the current value is 60 more than what the normal condition of that variable should have been. And the same logic applies to the relative deviation. The only difference is there we calculated relatively based on percentages. And again, I'll to tell the OMR deviations. OMR deviations can happen only in the positive direction. They cannot happen in negative direction. And OMR indication, the more OMR indication there is, it indicates that the current state of the equipment is that much farther away from the ideal state. And to repeat again, the ideal state is what we taught the software using normal and historical data for the equipment. That together, using the algorithms that we just stated, we create the profile, and then the real-time values are then calculated against the profile to come to the OMR value. Now, I saw another question with respect to how much data is required. So in order to train the model, what we want to do is we want at least a year worth of data, which is around 15 minutes in frequency. So the objective here is that if we take raw 1 year worth of data, there will be some data that we'll exclude because of that being unclean, as in it will indicate an abnormal condition of the equipment. The other thing is we want to make sure that the accuracy of a profile is as much as possible. And as everyone of us know, that for any database algorithm to work, the more data there is, the better. With respect to generating reports for the data analysis, we can export all the charts that we have. We can have reports generated based on the health of the sensors. We can summarize all the issues with the sensors. We can characterize them as an issue with the sensor or an issue with the reliability. So in that way, we can have multiple reports. And with respect to the question regarding it being able to generate work orders based on health, no, sir, that is not possible. We cannot automatically generate work orders from this software based on what the health is, because the premise is not each and every OMR deviation may indicate that an actual problem is occurring. And I'm sorry, I was not able to understand the question with respect to sensors working in pot room area. If you could please just rephrase that. So I think we have covered all the questions that we had till now. Okay, there's another one. If you do not have. Okay, so if we don't have historical data set, I'm alluding to the question from Mr. Dhiraj sir. So if you don't have historical data set, there is no way for the software to know what the ideal or the normal condition for that particular equipment is. So what we do not do here is we won't give it a particular OEM recommended value for an equipment. So for example, we will not simply say that the OEM recommended, let's say, temperature is 60 degree. What we'll tell the software is that this is how this particular variable has behaved in the past, and we consider this past history of the equipment to be normal for us. So I'm sorry. So that is what we teach the software. And with respect to the thresholds as to overfitting during the training, so for that we have algorithms which are inbuilt into the software which take care of that. And moreover, the cleaning is not done based on the thresholds of the various values of the variables. The objective of cleaning is to show what an normal condition for the particular equipment or asset, or in this case a profile, is. It may happen that even during normal course of condition that the various values will go up and down. And then because of that, that's what the ideal condition that we consider. So I'll go back to the demo and then I'll come back to all the questions later on. So again, thank you so much for all the questions and keep them coming while I go through the demo. So like I was telling earlier, so this is what the basis of this OMR deviations is. Now, if you want to conduct similar analysis for another time period for another time period, let's just zoom over here and we can see that there were multiple alarms. A red again indicating a high alert, and an orange indicating warnings. We then want to drill down on what are the various variables that led to this. And if we again zoom into one particular day, the software is telling me that these are the various variables that contributed to a deviation of this particular profile's health. We can then, based on this, find out what the probabilities of various faults occurring are. And it is around 75% for the bearing vibration issues. So this is what the analysis of the past data happens. Now, the other thing that I want to highlight is the integration with real-time services. What we talked about, I'm so sorry for that. So what we talked about till now was an analysis of the past data. The software also has the ability to take in data from various real-time sources. As can be seen over here, we can take data over universal protocols such as ODBC, OPC, UA, as well as various historians. We can take data from Hadoop, we can take data from eDNA, PI, data lake, DataWare, and so on and so forth. So in that case, when we are connected to a real-time service, all the analysis that I showed you over here is then conducted in real time. And I'll again just take 2-3 questions from you, and then I'll hand it back to Mitesh, and then he'll take the presentation forward from here. Okay, there's a question regarding the easiness with respect to retraining the model for the new operation state. The retraining of model is extremely simple. It's not more than a few clicks. With respect to data that is stored, so here what we do is we take data directly from the historian that's on the premises. There is a question with regard to accuracy of the predicted value. The accuracy of the predicted value, there are two components to it. First is what the algorithm was used in order to create the profile. And with respect to the algorithm that's used in the software, we are very confident. The second aspect with regard to the accuracy of any predicted value is the quality of training data that was input to it. We can very easily create a profile based on only 1 month or 2 months worth of data. But as we all know, for any prediction to work correctly, for any prediction to happen accurately, it will happen when the data input to it is of good quality. So the emphasis is then on what quality of data is available for creating the said model. There's a question with respect to data access which is done remotely. So we do have various ways in which we can connect to various sources of data. We can even have distributed computing in this as well, and this entire solution can be distributed over multiple premises as well.